We're going to begin this project today. This is a beautiful fall tree on a hillside, and in this project our goals are to draw the tree as realistically as we can, and then to show lights and darks that help our picture look like the objects are three-dimensional, like the fence really is standing up there and like the tree is round, like a tree trunk. So to start this project, you need a black piece of paper, and you're going to need some oil pastels. So here's a black piece of paper, and each table has a basket of oil pastels like this. First, we're going to write our name in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm doing the work today for Joe's student. He's in our class, but I bet you didn't know he's in our class, but he is. Once you have your first name, last name, and section on your paper, turn your paper over so your name's on the back. When we start to draw the tree trunk, we want to draw it about the width of a hand up from the bottom of the page at least. You could even draw it a little higher up. We're going to start with one line on this side. And I'm thinking about nature lines, not exactly straight lines. And I'm going to stop the tree trunk a little bit down from the top of the tree. Now obviously this looks more like a twig than a tree trunk. When you're drawing a tree trunk, you have to think about the fact that trees start out at the bottom very thick. And then as they grow, little by little, the tree trunk gets skinnier. So now we have our tree trunk shape. We just need a little root line here at the bottom. Kind of a zigzaggy line at the bottom to show where the roots meet the ground. Now I'm going to take my brown oil pastel that I was using, and I'm going to color in the tree trunk. And you can use any shade of brown. There's a couple different kinds of brown in our pastel baskets. You can use any brown that you like. One great thing about oil pastels is that if you make a mistake, you can just go back and sort of include that into your tree, draws right over itself. And since trees are nature, there's no perfect tree trunk. So if you have a little extra bump in there, that's fine. The next step in our drawing is to make the main branches. Think about when you're climbing a tree. You start out on the thickest branches, and they angle up, kind of like a diagonal line. Our main branches are going to be pretty thick at the base where they touch the trunk, but then they get skinnier as they go out to the side. I'm going to put another main branch up here, thinking about how in nature trees are very rarely symmetrical. Trees are usually different on both sides. Some trees are symmetrical, but it's very rare that you find a perfectly symmetrical tree. So I have two main branches. Now I'm going to add some medium-sized branches on the main branches. So I'm going to start here, and they're not going to be as thick as the main branch, but they are going to have a little bit of a thickness to them. Of course, just like the branch here and the trunk here, it's going to get skinnier as it gets out to the edge. Over here I'm going to make a medium-sized branch. Maybe this one will be growing down a little bit. And then I'm going to color in right up there. And then up here, my picture almost fell. Up here, we're going to go right up here and make a medium-sized branch. Just there. And that one doesn't quite come together. We'll get it there. So all of our branches are tapering or getting skinnier at the ends, just like a real tree would. The last thing to add to our tree are the twigs. Twigs are just going to be long, skinny lines, and you can add twigs on twigs. That's fine. Twigs always grow off the tips of branches, and you can grow the twigs off of the twigs. So you won't have any twigs growing underneath your main branches on the trunk. You'll just have twigs growing off of the ends of your branches. So we've got some twigs. All right, and later on we'll fill in our twigs with some leaves. But for right now, here's our realistic looking tree. You could add another branch here or there if you wanted to fill in your tree, but remember too, sometimes leaves cover up the branches. So when we add our leaves, you might be able to fill some of those empty spaces that you see.